Բարև ձեզ, եթերում բանաձև նախագիծն է։ Օրերս Հայաստանյան հասարակությանը ներկայացվեց նոր սոցիոլոգիական հարցում, որը կոչվում էր «Հարցում նախընտրական պատկերը Հայաստանում» վերնագրով, որտեղ ներկայացված էր նախ թե հայաստանյան հասարակությունը ինչով է ցանկանում լսել կամ ստանալ տեղեկատվությունը, որոնք են քաղաքական այն կուսակցությունները, որոնք համարում են ֆավորիտ, որոնք ոչ ֆավորիտ, այն գործիչները, որոնց վստահում են, եւ ի վերջո ում կընտրեն, եթե ընտրությունները կայանային։ Այս հարցում իրականացել է Եվրոպայի Հայաստանի եվրոպացի բարեկամներ կազմակերպությունը երկու կազմակերպությունների տեղական IPSC սոցիոլոգիական ընկերության միջոցով, իսկ որակը վերահսկել է TNS Opinion ընկերությունը, որը նաև մեթոդաբանություն է ստուգել, եւ այսօր Բանաձևի տաղավարում են այն մարդիկ, ովքեր պատասխանատու են այդ հարցման համար, հարցման մանրամասները վաղուց արդեն կան մամուլում, այսօր կխոսենք դրանց սպეციფიկ մի քանի թվերի մասին, որոնք հետաքրքիր են ընդհանուր հասկանալու համար նաև մեր երկրում ով մեր հասարակությունը ինչպես է մտածում, որ կուսակցություններ են նախընտրում եւ որ լրատվամիջոցներն են նախընտրում տեղեկատվություն ստանալու համար։ Եվ այսպես Բանաձևի տաղավարում են Հայաստանի եվրոպացի բարեկամներ կազմակերպության նախագահ գլխավոր քարտուղար Michael Kambeck-ը եւ TNS Opinion կազմակերպության մեթոդաբանական վարչության ղեկավար, այսինքն մարդ, որ պատասխանատու է սոցհարցումների համար, Schwarzer. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
The first question is to you, Michael. Why have you decided to do this poll?
We wanted to make a contribution for good elections in Armenia and for the more substantial discussion in Armenia. We wanted people not only to believe what is going on, but to know more facts about what is the situation right now at the beginning of the campaign phase in Armenia. That doesn't mean we predict now the outcome, because it's not possible, but we wanted to show this picture now, and we hope to be able to do the same thing at the end of the campaign phase.
This is not the first time that you are doing this.
No, we have done an opinion poll in October 2010. That opinion poll very much focused on foreign affairs in Nagorno-Karabakh, but it contained one part on election questions, and this allows us today to already show in this opinion poll trends between October 2010 and today.
You are very well aware of Armenian society's kind of preconditional what they think about numbers and polls. So the very first question, is it biased, and who paid for the poll?
It is not biased. We are an NGO from Armenia. Sorry, not from Armenia, but from Brussels. It means this is exactly the value that we can add. Many polls probably will come up in the coming days, and you can look at how, at the background, and then you will see also at the figures, and then you will probably see who was behind it. With us, this is not the case.
Looking at the numbers, some people say that because of prosperous Armenian is kind of the leader for some questions, Gagik Tsarukian may be interested or be in
Mr.
charge.
Tsarukian has paid for our poll. Forget it. No, seriously, I get quite angry when I hear this. The poll is really very neutral, and okay, I will tell you one thing which I would never be able to say if Mr. Tsarukian would have paid for this poll. I believe that the campaign that Prosperous Armenia is doing right now in Armenia is dangerous for Armenia. It is dangerous also for the democratic stance in Armenia, and I will tell you why. You cannot go to villages and give out potatoes and then expect people to vote for you. You cannot go and say, what is your biggest problem here? Oh, your road is broken, so in few days you will have a new road here. This is not European standards. This is not democracy. There will be observers in this country. There are already observers in this country from the OSCE, Council of Europe, from the European Union. They are watching all this. So much depends on these elections, that they are free and fair. And one of the biggest parties is doing the campaign on such a basis. This is not possible.
So you are saying that the free and fair election depends not only on election day or counting votes, also for the campaign. How
Absolutely.
Political parties run campaign, how they kind of get the sympathy from.
Absolutely. We have 3 phases of observation. and all of this will depend on it. The pre-election day phase, the election day itself, and also afterwards. And of course, now everybody is looking at this, and the European Union will look at such behavior and how will they react. I'm sorry if I get emotional about this question, but just to show you, if he would pay for our poll, I would certainly not be able to say such things.
All right, we'll talk about the usefulness of these numbers later, but the question is to Steve. Armenian sociology is on the crossroads from kind of converting from Soviet era to the new era. So, and it is well known that people are very skeptical about the results. How can we be sure that this is not biased?
How can we be sure that this is not biased? I think the whole idea of involving Tina's opinion in this poll was to make sure that the results will be correct, at least from a technical point of view. How you interpret the results is a different thing. Working with IPSC, which is a well-known company in Armenia and is quite famous for the quality they normally achieve with their surveys, we just added something as an external observer and discussed all the different steps for an opinion poll or for a survey with them. So starting with the questionnaire, so we brought our knowledge to the questionnaire discussion. We discussed the sampling, so meaning this means where should interviews be conducted.
How long did it take?
What?
This survey?
The survey was on field for 6 days, which is a normal period of time.
And how many people were questioned, or what was the procedure
In total, almost 700 people were questioned, and we 1,600 ended up in the database because we had to exclude a couple of interviews for quality reasons, and this is a good sign that we not put everyone into the database, but we excluded also respondents because the answers didn't make sense, or there were mistakes, or the interviewer did a mistake. So the whole exercise from Tina's opinion point of view is that we ensured what was done here in Armenia, and we had intense discussions with our colleagues here in Armenia and with Michael on the content of this poll.
And about the results, some results are very surprisingly, well, I was taken by surprise. For example, in comparison to October 2011, now 31% prefer to get information from internet.
October 2010, sorry.
2010, yes. It's just in just 1 year.
1 year and a half, yes.
Is it kind of Armenian phenomena, or this is kind of tendency in all Europe, or kind of?
No, I think this the internet becomes more and more important, especially with when it comes to elections, and also politicians understand that it is important to also communicate to certain parts of the population via internet, and there when you can see in the figures that especially young people uses internet, and you have to attract also young people for the political sphere, and because these are voters which will stay with you for a long time. So if you manage to communicate to them in a proper way, you will probably keep them for a long time.
Were there any results that surprised you?
For this, yes, the skepticism in politics. This is something I'm not used to see in polls because most of our polls are in Western Europe or in Eastern Europe. But the skepticism in politics is really, really surprising and also a bit worrying, I have to say. But Michael can probably say more about that.
What do you mean skepticism in politics?
Meaning distrust in politics, meaning distrust in the problem-solving capacities of politicians, meaning distrust in political parties, not believing in that the election will really matter in terms of what will happen afterwards. So it's really difficult how people see actually the upcoming elections.
According to your numbers, 55% of population is interested in politics. Can we say that Armenian kind of society is politicized? This is normal percentage, or is high or medium?
No, this is a normal percentage point. So 52% on average is quite okay for when you compare it with other countries. I think it's more important to look at the second dimension. What do people actually do? So being interested in politics can also mean just watching the news every day. This is also kind of interest in politics, or reading a newspaper. But when we look into the data, we see that people also discuss politics with their friends, which is also interesting because you can be interested in politics, but you do not discuss or you do not mention this to your friends or within your family. So this is quite interesting to see that a lot of our respondents discuss politics with their friends.
And also, can you explain why Prosperous Armenia Republican Party have more women followers than men? I mean, this is kind of very man-orientated, manly party. So,
no, I don't think so. I think that you have to be aware that other data or other figures in this poll show that that the voters of Prosperous Armenia are also more in the countryside. So
and less educated.
And a bit less educated, but this is true for both of the leading parties. So the educational level of the leading parties is a bit lower than for the other parties.
And also, Michael, can you explain this phenomenon that people think that the situation in countries worsened, but they don't think that the situation in their families are worsened. So this is they are not happy with country, but they are quite satisfied with their everyday life.
Well, we find in this question is a key question before every election. Yeah? If people feel unhappy, it's the feel-good factor. If this feel-good factor is not good, then any government will have a difficult time to be re-elected. In Armenia, we see a bit contradictory results on these questions, and we asked 3 different questions because asking just one may give you not the full picture. And indeed, you're right. If we ask them, so how do you think is the situation in your country? Very many people say the situation in our country is very bad. It's like a spontaneous emotional response, and they maybe hear very many bad things, and this is what they respond. And if then we ask them more about, yes, but in your own family, how is it there? Then we get much more of a response where they say, no, it's actually not so bad. We still have many families where the situation also is not good, but it's more polarized and it's more even. Whereas when you ask about the situation generally, so apparently discussions in the society are much more negative than the situation actually is.